Hey YouTube, George here. Hope you're all well and doing okay. Quick and dirty little video here about intermittent receive. Okay, so I'm here on 27615. The reason I always go here is I get a bit of network noise from all the network stuff in the house, so I get a small tone here, so it saves me doing anything. And if we move the radio, you can hear it going in and out. So first off, let's move this out of the way. I thought that this was the problem. The back of the SO239. Now the way this is done, I don't like it. It's done with a piece of solid wire. I prefer to have stranded stuff in there, so we're going to change that. And look at that, the ground is not attached. But here's what the problem is. Just turn it up a bit. Right, so we'll flip it over now and we'll have a look at the other side of the board. Right, so here we are on the solder side, and this radio has had quite a bit of messing done to it. You can see there was all sorts of stuff done to it, dual finals at one stage, yada yada. This is the ground for the antenna socket, but I'm not sure now how well this will show up in the camera, but if we look here, there's a crack across that solder joint there, and this middle one is not making contact. So if I have a poke at it, I see I can't get the leverage on it here, so I'll do it from underneath. You can see it lifting there, see? So we need to rework all this down here, and we'll fix that. Put in a piece of proper wire for that antenna jack while we're at it. So that pad there, this whole land here is lifted. So what we'll do is when we're soldering this, we'll have to solder a little bridge that goes from here to there. And that'll sort that out, and we'll just reflow all these on the SWR bridge, because the signal path goes in here where that is, and it goes right through the SWR board and out the far side. So because this is broken, it's breaking the signal path, so that's why we have intermittent receive. So we'll get that sorted out, and I'll put the phone in the holder and show you how to do that. Right, so we want to turn the radio off and disconnect everything. And then what I always like to do is actually turn it back on again. Just discharge the capacitors and all that. So, first thing we're going to do, there's no tab on that, that's one reason. So what I'm seeing there now is the SO239, it has no tab, one of these lads, for the ground to go onto, and you can't solder, it won't take properly unless you start grinding it. So we're going to end up pulling the socket out temporarily, and yeah, so we'll turn on the iron there. Oh wait, no, I need to change the tip that's in it. Where did I put them? I'm after putting them somewhere different now. 10 irons, just take that off, pull it out, put it into my box. I have a selection of elements for it. And we'll put in this. For this type of work, you want a bit that has a good flat area on the end of it. The needle ones are it's very localized heat, so not much good in this application. Right, so that's gonna heat up there now. We get our little tweezers here. Actually, we'll use the hemostat. We'll clamp on to there. Heat this up. Takes a while because there's so much solder in it. And we'll just pull. Come on now. There we go. Now, so that's that out. Now we'll do this side here. So we're just gonna go in here and we're going to remove this solder here. It's very hard for me to do this now without blocking, but I'll try. Bear with me now for a second, folks. Now, that's out, down. Like, that's just the tail off a resistor. It goes into that little hole there. You can see it here. So what we're going to do is we'll drill out that hole a little with a hand drill. You don't want to be going at this with your Black & Decker. So these, you can get these in Lidl or Aldi from time to time. It's hand operated drill, and we will go that size. I probably have to change the collet now for this, I'm not sure. Yep, so the collet just threads out. Change the collet. So you just have it loose like that, and then you push your bit in, tighten it up. Then we're going to enlarge this hole. I drilled a hole because I want to put a decent bit of wire. But because that track is lifted, or it was lifted anyway, across here, what we're going to do is when we put the wire in, instead of soldering on here to what's left of the pad, we'll bring the wire right down and here, solder it directly onto the output of the SWR board. That's what we'll do with that. So we get ourselves a bit of wire. No, we get the socket out is what we'll do. Nothing fancy, just the pliers. This is actually a 360, it's not a 148. Same difference. Now, to bend the ground he put in out of the way. See, he has a ground here. This is the, don't know how well you can see now, but I'm going to get a bit more light on the subject. Where's my torch? See it here? It's like a big piece of wire. Like he had a bigger piece of wire for the ground than he had for the signal, and he tried to solder it onto the. He tried to solder it onto the bloody SO239 socket, and that doesn't work. See, he tried to solder it onto the side here. Not a good idea. Let me see if I hear a better one than that. There we go. Is that a good one? No. Nah, we'll just stick with this one. It's okay. Now, turn off our torch. So, what we need to do is we need this tab on it. And that's where your ground solders onto. Because you can't solder onto the... You can't solder onto the bloody socket. It doesn't work. Bit fiddly because the SWR board is very close to the side of that. Come on. Now, go on. Go on. Stop being awkward. Oh, here we go. Now, we put our spring washer on the outside, which is this lad with the little split in it. Where were we? So we'll tighten this back up and use our adjustable spanner or crescent wrench if you're in America. This is a metric one. This is an imperial one. Get that as tight as you can, within reason. If you go too tight, you can actually damage the SO239. So that we use the metric one there. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to bend our tab out. Come on now, that's it. And we're going to put a fresh bit of solder on it. That'll be see now. Now we're just going to bend them back in like that. And we're going to bend up this ground he has in here. Come on now. It's very stiff, that stuff, whatever he used. Now. Bend it into place then, finally. There we go. And we put that up like that so you can see what I'm doing. Get you a bit closer. This is a very common issue with these radios where the receive is dropping out and it's either this or the switch on the external speaker socket is not working right. So I'm going to solder that on there. Don't be mean with the solder and hold it there for a second or two. Make sure she's good connection. Like so. Right, so that's our ground taken care of. Now we're going to redo the signal connection, and then we'll have then we'll sort out the board. Right, so I'm just going to use a bit of decent quality speaker wire. You can leave the insulation on. You don't have to be too worried about that. And we'll just move the radio there so you can see what I'm doing. We'll tin it now. I like to tin wire before I use it. And we'll probably end up cutting most of this off. Right. So we chop that off about there. So that's going to go into the socket end of it. So what we'll do now is we'll strip the other end. Find a blade. Always one on the floor. You know, you want to use the best bit of wire you can find to do this job. Come on now. There we go. And twist it together good and tight like that. Now, I'm not going to tin this, because if I do, I want to run into trouble where it won't go through the hole. So we'll put that in there. Like so. Nice and neat. See it there? Just to the side of the SWR board. And then we'll go here, we'll grab a hold of it. And we'll bend it down like that. So remember, our connection is not too good on this land here. So we're just going to tack it in place there, like that. And then we want our snips. We want to bend it around like that. Now you want to make sure when you do this that I really need to get a decent side cutter. This one is not cutting it at all. It's pulling it apart anyhow. Now, what I was saying, you make sure you have no stray strands of copper. There's one or two there, and I've got rid of them now. You don't want it touching this area, because this is the ground plane. So you'll have a short. It won't work right. So now we're going to put him on there like that. Just make sure that's it. Poke him down there with that thing. Let it flow. Like that. Now we'll just rework all the other ones. What did I do there now? See, sometimes it doesn't always go right for you. Where did I put it? Here we go. Now what you could do here, you could do what Mr. Nugent used to do. You just bypass the board altogether. There you go. Now, which we might do. Sometimes if you bring the radio up this way, gravity will help you. No, this is a cage. All the tracks are lifting off it. No, decision made. It's coming out. I don't use the SWR board anyway, so no big deal. So we'll get rid of that altogether. Especially on something like this this thing has been badly hacked about. Like if this was a radio now I was doing for somebody else, I might try and repair it, but seeing as it's one of my own, I'm not bothered, because I never use the internal SWR bridge. So we're going to pull out that now. These can be a bit fiddly to get out. Let's see what's holding it. There's a little bit of solder here. There we go. The SWR board. So what we'll do now while we have this here is we'll put our we connect up our antenna connection. I use the long nose pliers so my hands won't be in the way. Because we tin that now, we can just shove it into the solder there like that. And because it's tin, it'll work better. We get another little piece of the same wire. Speaker wire, like decent quality speaker wire, is good because it has a decent content of copper in it. So we just strip a very small piece off the end. Now we'll tin that. Now we'll flip her over again. Where are we? So what we're gonna do, we're going to tack that down there to where it would have been. And then we're going to put this down on top of it. That's it. Okay. And we're going to connect up onto this pad here. Sorry, George, get the hands out of the way. We're going to connect on here. There you go. I'm going to connect on there with the other end of this wire. So we get it cut to length. Stripped insulation. We'll tin it. And then we'll solder it down where we need it to go. I'm just using this long nose pliers now, so my hands won't be in the way and you can see what I'm doing. So connect that on there. Just bridged out the whole lot. Another bit of solder on this here, just to be sure. Oh, give me little. Make Sure there's no stray pieces touching the ground plane. So that leaves us now, we don't have no SWR bridge no more. So what I'll do with this switch here is what I normally do. I use this for internal and external signal meter, and what I'll probably do is I'll disable the PA jack and use that for external speaker. So when you flip the switch, it'll put the output to the signal meter down to that connector. Come on now, get in there. I won't you fit. There we go. Let's put our board back in place here. Okay, so that should be that. So let's fire it up and see what happens. When you plug on this, it embeds the external speaker. So we've no more intermittent connection.
Charlie, separation, Oscar, Charlie, 3-1 Bravo, French region trophy activation, in QSY, 575. 575, many thanks.
Let's follow him and see what he gets.
CQ activation, CQ French region trophy activation, QRZ.
Remember I was telling you about the funnel. See, bits like this.
Oscar Charlie 3-1 Bravo, and my operator name is Steven, or Steven in English. Back to you, sir. Okay, Mr. Tony, you are 5x9, 5x9, progressive for you, 245, 245, QSL.
He's a decent signal, that guy.
Okay, in English is a Steven, in French is a Sylvain. Sierra, Yankee, Lima, Victor, Alpha, India, November, operator name Sylvain. For France in the 3-1 department. QSL Tony.
Okay, so basically, that's kind of like a simple little repair that you can do yourself at home. You know, if you have a radio, that every time you touch the radio or move the radio, the receive drops out. Chances are that's probably what's wrong. Now, you don't have to pull the SWR bridge, but yeah, I don't like them. So I have an MFJ 949E tuner in line here, so I don't. That's what I use. And the way I have it set up here, even if I have a rig on the bench here, I can see what's going on. And I have an antenna switch over in the corner then, and I can flip it that whatever radio I have in line is going through the tuner as well. Lovely. So anyhow, as I was saying, simple little repair you can do yourself. You know, 9 times out of 10 it's always just a bad connection. But like, this thing is very hacked about, you know, there's links in it everywhere, and like all this, like that's the ground he has going to the thing. There's a link across here, there's a link across here, this bottom corner of the board here, where down around where the S meter and the power switch and all that is. Like, there's nothing left of it. It's had a lot of work done, this radio, in its life. And there's the diode mod, super low to super high. I generally don't believe in this. I will tune it up to work on low, mid and high. I won't bother too much, you know. Whatever way it works, it works. I don't like this modification, but it's there. It appears to work, so I'm not going to pull it out. And lot of stuff done here that kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. It's always interesting to find different radios and see what people have done with them, you know. It's very interesting to see what one lad classes as a modification. Just always make sure your board screws are tight. That will cause a warble on sideband if they're not. And yeah, so that's that. We've no more intermittent problem now with our receive. It's fine. So my next little job I'll do here now is I'll put a new plug on my external speaker. So I hope you enjoyed that, found it helpful, whatever. Leave a comment, drop a like, whatever you want to do, and we'll get you in the next one. 73.